Hi, and welcome to CS-HU153 Navigating Computer Systems. My name is Marissa Schmidt, and I'm going to be your instructor for the course. A Hatchery Unit course is a short course that's aimed at developing specific professional skills for students that they're going to use in the rest of their careers here at Boise State and when they go and leave and find a professional job in industry. This Hatchery Unit course, Navigating Computer Systems, is aimed at teaching you the skills that you're going to need when you go in industry and you start working on different operating systems. So you're going to learn how to install a new operating system, how to use what's called a virtual machine. You're going to learn how to use the command line and a lot of different tools and utilities that just make things quicker and easier for you in your career as a computer scientist or a system administrator, or just, I guess, if anything in general, if you're using computers for whatever career you end up choosing. The class is 1 credit. It's going to be presented over 7 weeks, and it's going to be split into 5 separate modules. Before we dive into what the modules are, let's make sure that everybody understands the hardware requirements that are going to be necessary for you to succeed in this course. So we're going to expect you to have your own laptop or desktop. Since this is an online course, you do have to have those resources available to you. I also recommend that you have a decent internet connection so that you're able to log in to Canvas and the Onyx server, which we'll talk about later, the Onyx server for this class. So just make sure that you have access to internet, your own computer, and that computer can run any operating system. So you'll be successful if you have a Mac, a Windows, or even a Linux box. You do need to make sure that you have at least 2 cores and 8 gigabytes of RAM available, so that you can run all of the required software. You also need to make sure that you have 60 gigabytes of disk space available because you're going to be installing, like I said, a virtual machine that takes up quite a bit of space. If you don't have access to these resources, it doesn't mean that you can't take the course. Just reach out to me as soon as possible to make sure that we can get you set up with either a loaner laptop from the department or figure out how you can log into a virtual machine somehow. So contact me right away, like as soon as this video is over, if you don't have these resources available to you. So let's take a look at the modules that you're going to be working on over the next 7 weeks. The first module is going to be spread out over 2 weeks. It's called Developing on Linux. This is where you're going to be getting your environment set up. You're going to install all the software you need. You're going to configure it and just make sure that you're ready to go for the future modules. Module 2 is called Command Line Basics. This is going to be 1 week. This is the module where you're going to start using the command line, or what we call the terminal or the shell. So if you've seen in movies, probably, if you haven't had a chance to use a terminal yet, it's just that black box with all the text scrolling by that people type like crazy into. So you're going to start learning how to use that shell because it can make your job as a software developer or, like I said, a system administrator a lot easier. Then after you learn the basics of the command line, we're going to jump over and look at file systems and security. So you're going to learn how files and directories are stored and organized on computers. You're going to learn how to create files and move folders around and set permissions on files and directories and just make sure that everything is secure on your system. You're also going to learn how to add additional storage to your computer. So if you go out and get a hard drive, like let's say you run out of space on your computer, you need more space, you can go purchase a hard drive. We're going to learn how you can configure that and attach it to your existing system, because that's going to be something as software developers or system administrators that we need to do quite a bit, because software usually takes up, or at least the data that we're running software on can take up space. After that, we're going to move on to the 4th module called Advanced Command Line Usage. And this is where we're just going to dive, like what it says, deeper. We're going to learn more advanced command line skills. So you're going to dig more into text utilities. You're going to learn how to string different commands together to perform complex tasks, more complex tasks from the command line. And then finally, the last module of this course is going to be shell scripting. This one requires you to have some programming experience. So that's why we have the requirement of 117, CS-121, or ITM 225 on this course, because you're actually going to be writing small scripting programs to automate several of the commands that you learned in the previous modules. I'll head over to Canvas in a second, but just to give you an idea of what a module is in this course, each module is going to have 3 parts. It's going to have a reading assignment, which is going to be a collection of online articles, reading assignments from our textbooks, and sometimes even short videos that I provide. After you do the reading assignment, you're going to perform a hands-on activity. So this is where we're going to give you scripted scenarios to go through several of the commands that you read about in the reading assignment. And you're also going to submit a reflection at the end of each activity, kind of telling us how it went and telling us what could have gone better, what you learned, things like that. After you finish the activity, you're going to log into Canvas and take a quiz for that module. The quiz just covers content from the reading and the scenarios that you performed during the activity to make sure that you actually worked through it on your own and to make sure that you retained some of the information that you learned. You do get to take each quiz twice, and the highest score is going to be your grade for that quiz. Now let's take a look at the course Canvas site. When you log into Canvas and click on our course site, you should see a page similar to what I have here. It's going to be broken into several modules. So the first module that you'll want to look at is the Welcome Begin Here module. This has the course overview, a little bit about me and your tutors, and it's also going to contain the course syllabus. So I want you to complete these items as soon as possible so that if there's any questions after this video or after reviewing that you can ask them as soon as possible. The resources module, you're probably going to reference frequently throughout the course. So it's going to be pinned at the top here. It's going to have the virtual tutoring hours calendar so that you can access our amazing tutors for this course. It's going to have a Piazza course discussion and QA board. So this is where I want you to go if you have any questions as you're working through the activities. It's a relatively real-time discussion board. So depending on who's logged in, you'll get your you'll get your questions answered usually within 10 minutes to 30 minutes. I'll be logging in, the tutor will log in, and we'll be monitoring answers as well, but feel free to help your peers out. I want you guys to engage with each other, and this is a great place to do that. There's also a link to the textbook that we provide for you, Navigating Linux Systems. Also known as the Linux User Guide throughout the course. Sometimes we'll refer to it as the Navigating Linux Systems Guide, but just to shorten up the name a little bit, I may call it the Linux User Guide. After you look through those modules, you can actually go ahead and get started on Module 1, Developing on Linux. As I mentioned, each module is going to have an introduction, a reading assignment, an activity, and a quiz. So once you complete all of those items for Module 1, you'll be able to move on to Module 2 and so on. Throughout the semester, I'll be posting announcements to this page here. So you should see probably one announcement per week at least, or if there's an important update that I need to send, I'll be posting them through Canvas here. I believe you'll get an email, but I'm not quite sure. It depends on how you have your settings set up for the Canvas platform itself. The syllabus is also over here if you ever need to reference it. There's a link to Piazza, and of course your grades are going to be listed here as well. That's all I really have for the course intro. If there's anything that you feel that I didn't cover or that I maybe could have covered in more depth, feel free to reach out to me either via Piazza so that your classmates can see, or email, and I am more than happy to go further in depth. I just want to keep this short so that you can jump in and get started on your coursework. I look forward to working with you all this semester, and I hope to hear from you during office hours. Take care.